Entrepreneur, Build Your Empire. We have special guest Jason Frazier in the house. So welcome, Jason.
Thanks, Mitch. Thanks for having me, man.
So how we do this typically is I just have 5 questions I like to ask each guest just to kind of throw you a curveball. And then after that, I'll hand it over to you and let you talk about today's market and whatever else you got on your mind that might be able to help these folks. So
absolutely,
shout out to Lead Pops, great company there. Shout out to our guy here, Chris Griffith, Vetted VA, rocking that today. So first question I have for you: what is your go-to meal at your favorite local hometown restaurant?
Oh, snap. Man, that's tough right now. Well, I mean, right now it's nothing. It's everything's freaking closed. Let's see. So I would say here there's a Mexican place called shoot, I can't. We just found it actually. Well, I'll go to the other one before we found this place. It's called the Red Iguana, and they have this. I can't pronounce it, but it's like a breakfast dish that's fried eggs, and it's almost like fried egg enchiladas. It's kind of hard to explain, but it is money, and it's got some green chilies in there, so it's good. So that is my go-to right now when we did go out, when we were able to go out. So yeah.
All right. So, tell us a little bit about what you do, and what is the favorite part of your career right now?
Yeah. So I do. For those of you who know or don't know, I do quite a few things. I am the wholesale marketing manager for CF Wholesale, which is Cardinal Financial Wholesale. So I serve just market strictly on the wholesale channel and work with a lot of brokers. I'm also a national speaker. I speak across the country, not so much this year, but since 2018, spoken at some really, some big conferences. Really humbled and honored to be able to do that. Speaking to real estate agents, title, loan officers. I'm also a marketing coach for Next Level Loan Officers, and also produce their podcast. I also do 2 podcasts myself, which is Marketing Interrupt and Mortgage X with Christine Beckwith, who I know Mitch has had on these before. I'm also starting a new podcast collaborative that starts next month called Real Disrupt, and it's going to be for anyone that is in the industry, whether it's they do a podcast that's focused on their local market, which I think is extremely important right now, or a podcast that's focused towards the industry or focused towards business or marketing like mine are. So it's a collaborative of people together. It's really about bringing podcast hosts together, and it's really a good channel for new podcasts, people that don't have an audience, people that don't have a podcast, don't know where to start, and need help getting theirs produced. So I'm going to help them along the way with doing that. So that's Real Disrupt that we're launching. And then just creating content. This week will be something that I'll be talking about. I'm going to be teaming up with FinLocker. FinLocker is going to have me help them create content for mortgage brokers for using their product. So Brian Buse, a friend of mine, and so I'm looking forward to doing that. So I've been a consultant. I've done a ton of different things within this industry. My passion is marketing. My passion is this industry, and helping it not just survive but grow. With we had disruption before. Now we have a ton of it right now. So many moving parts to everything that's happening in the market. So my passion is solving problems and helping people, and that's what I try to do with my content and everything that I'm throwing out there.
Awesome, man. All right, so we all know that you provide great value and content. A lot of us, you have a great group, so feel free to tell people about that. I mean, I get a lot of knowledge out of there myself.
Yeah, the Mortgage X Mastermind, you guys could find. It's a Facebook group, something that I started back in December. I think we have a little bit over maybe 650 members now, but it's mostly mortgage, but we got real estate and title in there as well. And really what that group is about, growing and stepping on your foot on your gas, stepping your foot on the gas and go. Now that was something that was happening prior to this. And so we've, obviously people have to, look at the current climate and act accordingly. But the mastermind really is about collaboration, bringing people together, but also helping them. Like I do content ideas. There's a content calendar, a 20-month content calendar for social media that I'm going to be launching next month for brokers through CF Wholesale, but also for members of the Mortgage X Mastermind. So I'm really about helping people. I do office hour calls in there. So if people have marketing questions, I do content partnered up with our friend Andrew Pollock from Lead Pops. Just, at the mastermind at the end of the day is a mastermind. And that's what I want it to be. I don't want to be the Facebook group where just it's me talking. I want a Facebook group where everyone is adding their own, like what they're doing, podcasts. Real Disrupt's a part of that. NMP, National Mortgage Professional Magazines, a partner of ours, same with 2020 Vision, AIM, and UAMP, which I'm on the board of directors here in Utah. Just bringing all these different ecosystems together so that people have a place to go to learn and develop their business.
Awesome. All right. So what, tell us what you wish you had known when you first started that you know now.
Started in this industry?
Yeah. And let's say in marketing, what do you wish you knew about marketing, now that you didn't know back then?
I think when I first started marketing, I started like a lot of people that, like, my background is in venture capital and tech. It wasn't in marketing, messaging, communications, or anything like that, even though I did do PR and whatnot. But I think what I wish I would have known is how valuable neuro marketing is and neuro controls are, and understanding human interactions, consumerism. I've really focused, because it came later, right? It's something I study a lot right now. But if I really wish I would have focused more on experience journeys and what consumers respond to messaging wise, visual cues, that sort of stuff. I wish I would have focused on that, or at least started there before I built what I was doing, because I've made a ton of mistakes in the beginning with ads, with trying to learn. Now, again, I was learning myself. I was gleaming what I could from different people like Gary Vaynerchuk and stuff like that, and just doing my own testing. And I think that's what also was a benefit is being a practitioner and finding and failing quite a bit and having marketing campaigns that fell flat and whatnot. So I think I wish I would have known more. I wish I would have known how important that was before I started everything else, because I think I would have had much more success in the beginning instead of struggling for about a year and trying to find the right stuff. I mean, now it's good, but like I wish I would have known that in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. Everybody is going to have their failures and fall on their faces.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. So what is, that's a good, lead into this. So what is something that you've failed at? I want everybody to know that, everybody fails. So what's one thing that you've, failed at in the past?
Yeah, so I think, first thing that comes to, I failed at a lot of different things. So I would say the first thing that comes to mind, though, just recently is, so I left my mortgage company as an executive in mid 2018. And I went to start my own thing called the Agent Marketer. Now that was supposed to be like a marketing, coaching, and training, and where it was focused on doing, helping them do their own marketing, because I believe, and I still believe, that the best success you're going to get is by having as much control over your messaging, your marketing, and your business as possible, right? Outsourcing a lot of that stuff makes sense in certain aspects, but I think the best, just like, and loan officers will understand this, but like processing, right? Like having a contract processor or someone that's not part of your team, I don't think you could scale your business as much as if you had your own processor, right? Now, I know people will disagree with me, but I think having that control, now a lot of loan originators agree with me on that point, but at the same time, like I think the most control you have. So I think even though that it's something that I've said multiple times, that having that control is good, but one thing I've said that I didn't really listen to my own advice was that you got to do what the audience wants, right? And you have to get out of your own way. And even though I thought that was the best way to do it, it just wasn't. What I found out, and what I've decided to give into, was the fact that people just want this stuff. People just want this stuff done for them, right? Now, I think there's a balance to that. So that's what I'm trying to do now, is find that balance and help them with, hey, look, I'm going to wave the white flag. You guys are never going to do this yourself. Most of you at scale are never going to do this yourself. Some of them do, And I could give all the examples of as I want as professionals that do that and do a very well job. But anyway, that failed. And that's, why I tried to merge it and do other, things with it. And so that wasn't a great implementation. I didn't execute on it well. I had some other, personal issues going on at that time. So it ended up being a big cluster. And so I failed miserably at that, in my opinion, even though I still have a lot of people that are still in that group, that I help, and I'm trying to make amends with, like, hey, you guys paid me for something. Like, I want to make sure you get the value out of it. And then now that I've learned, I'm actually relaunching this, and it's called Marketing Interrupt. And I'm actually relaunching this to be a part of Next Level Loan Officers as that. And so anyone that was with me at the Agent Marketer will have access to this. It won't cost them anything. But it's my way of making sure that I live up to what, I put out there. And even though I did, in my opinion, fail at it. And, it's never fun to lose. I don't like losing. I don't like failing. I'm not Gary Vee, who's like, oh, I love losing. I love failing, right? Like, I don't like losing. I don't like to fail because I feel like I let people down. I feel like I let others down. But I don't like losing, and I don't like to fail. And so but at the end of the day, I use that as a driver to help me win. And that's one thing, is that just like when I joined Next Level, when I joined CF Wholesale, I did that because I want to win. I want to help them win. And I want to help, those people that are in my mastermind, those people that are in my accelerator group, those people that have put whether they've spent money to listen to me speak, or spent money to help them, coach them, or if they spent money or just spent equity, right? Just their time, which is valuable to listen to me and get help and whatnot. I always want to make sure that I'm adding value, right? And I'll never be, one to say, like, it's your fault or whatever. It's up to me to set the example, right? It's up to me to admit when I screw up, or admit when I do something wrong, and then try to build and grow and learn from that stuff. So that's the biggest mistake. I didn't want to get too personal with all of that, but it's new, right? It's still like, it's gonna stick with me for a long time, right?
Right.
Stuff like that festers. Now, I'm not gonna let it hold me down. I'm not gonna let it hold me back. I mean, I failed, I dropped, and I moved on, right? Like, I moved on to do something better and to make sure that I wasn't forgetting what I did, and not forgetting and using that as a jumping off point to create Marketing Interrupt and make that even better. And then also give them the information, give them the content, but also have paths available to them for those that want it done for them.
Awesome. All right. One last question for you. Who would you consider to be your number one inspiration or your number one mentor? Could be in business or just in life in general, right now.
Yeah. And so I would say, it's tough, right? If I look at my current journey right now, that's an easy answer, and that's Gary Vaynerchuk. And I know that probably a lot of people are like, oh, that's an easy answer, whatever. But, like, look, and actually even take this back. Katie Lance, who was someone who I first started following on the real estate marketing social media side. She's awesome. If you don't know Katie Lance, go ahead, go check her out and follow her. She's great content. But she gave me a book, Crush It, by Gary Vaynerchuk. And so I read that, and I never heard of Gary Vaynerchuk before, ever. I had no idea who he was. And I read that book, and then I went to Social Media Marketing World in 2016 and had a chance to hear him for the first time live, doing a keynote at Social Media Marketing World. And then he stayed after his keynote to talk with anyone. And he literally stayed there for probably, it had to have been like almost 2 hours, just answering questions of people that stayed behind, right? So just answering questions. And so I met a lot of great people. Brian Solis was another one, Carlos Gill, Brian Fanzo, a lot of guys that actually I got a chance to just talk to, have 5-minute conversations with. And so Brian Solis goes right into that as well. But anyway, Gary Vaynerchuk was the one that really started me on my personal brand. I got on Snapchat, and that just that to me was just a huge mentor from far. 2019 January, I was honored to be able to speak at Gary's conference called Agent 2021 and be one of the speakers there, which kind of brought everything full circle and just proved that if you do and execute and stuff, like you will get to that. So that was a defining moment for me and big. But I would say overall in life and business, I'd have to say my mom. My mom is She's currently president and CEO of Mace McDuffie Mortgage, and it's a family business for me. That's how I actually got into the mortgage business. She broke glass ceilings, was the first woman CEO and president in the U.S. of a major mortgage company back in the late 70s, when it was just an old boys club and women weren't partners. Women didn't run companies back then in the mortgage business. And she's taught me everything I know about this industry, about business, about how to act, about how to manage people, about teamwork. So as far as like overall in life and business, how to be a good parent, my mom. And then, as far as like marketing and what I'm doing now would be Gary Vaynerchuk.
Awesome. Well, see, that's a piece of information that I didn't know, and maybe some of our viewers didn't know about you. So that's good. So yeah, man. So typically what we do now is kind of turn the mic over to you and let you teach and
Okay.
give us some information on how we can control our own destiny with the way the market and the industry is right now.
Yeah. So originally, when Mitch asked me to come on and do this, I had a plan of what I was going to do, something that I think is a great way to build an email list, which I think is what everyone should be doing right now. But with the current landscape of everything that's happening right now, I thought it would be more valuable to focus on something that I think there's an absolute need for right now, and where I think this will help all of you build awareness. It will help all of you stay in front of your audience for the right reasons. And that when we come through this, which we will on the other end, and when that happens, there will be a great business benefit for you doing what I'm about to talk about. So one thing that I say is like, look, there is nothing wrong with making money by doing the right thing, right? And so right now, what I'm seeing quite a bit is that I see people not switching up their messaging. I see people continuing doing the marketing that they were doing before, like nothing has changed, like it's business as usual. If you're in this industry, it's not business as usual. Not only that, but your audience, they have a drastically different worldview and a daily view than they did a month ago and 2 months ago, and definitely more than what they did last year, right? Now, at the same token, I think everyone should be doubling down on marketing. I think everyone should be and not just because I'm in marketing, right? But I think everyone should be doubling down on their message, because there's going to be a void because people are pulling back. I've already looked at stats that ads are cheaper now because people are pulling ad money out because no one knows what's going to happen, right? But I think you should be doubling it down on your marketing. You should be doubling down on building awareness. As it's something I talk about with the $2 a day strategy. And I think that's the first time I did one of these. I think that's what I did for you, Mitch, was the $2 a day strategy, which is even more powerful now than it was before. But when it comes down to it, like, your messaging needs to match what's happening. And so I did a podcast episode, Marketing Interrupt, last week called Strategic Marketing in Times of Crisis. Right now, strategic marketing means there's strategy involved. It doesn't mean like, hey, how do I get over on people to send me money? No, that's not what that is. Strategic marketing means like understanding the current circumstances and what strategy can I deploy to where I'm not going to come off tone deaf. Like I see a lot of these people putting stuff like, hey, now is a great time to buy. That is the worst possible freaking message you could put out there right now. And so I tried to find creative ways to switch that up. Right now, I'm not saying that in some circumstances it isn't. Like there's going to be personal circumstances out there where it is a fantastic time for someone to buy, right? But you can't put that out as a blanket statement to everybody. But what you need to do is refocus that message. So one thing that I've been helping with agents and brokers this last 2 weeks is changing that message for now is the best time to buy, is now is the best time to plan, and focused on strategy, and say, here, I'm focusing right now as an advisor to help you plan, whether it's refinancing now, it's whether refinancing as rates go down, whether it's refinancing at all, or purchase. Are you thinking about doing it? Are you in an affected industry that's been furloughed, or you're seeing layoffs? Do you depend on the cruise line industry? Do you depend on? It's about having that data, because at scale, online lenders, the people that aren't in the local community, the people that aren't doing that what used to be belly to belly and face to face, but doing that talking, that's the data that they don't know. right? And that's where conversations are key now. So you really should switch to conversational marketing based off the current landscape and understanding what people are doing. There's a lot of people at home right now, working from home, that have never worked from home before. There's a lot of people right now that are working at home and they have kids at home at the same time because they're not going to school, right? There's a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of disruption in their daily life, right? And so instead of focusing on the coronavirus, instead of focusing on COVID-19 and all that other messaging, let's focus on what their circumstances are, right? And again, this is where everyone needs to get out of their own head about like, well, what does that have to do with mortgage? What does that have to do with real estate? At the end of the day, it does not matter. All it matters is that you are in their mind at all, that they're following your content, that they're liking what you're putting out there, that you're actually helping them, staying in front of them. You do that the right way. You don't have to punch someone in the face about whether they're ready to sell or buy, or whether they, need a mortgage or anything like that. If you do that right, your brand and what you do naturally comes along with them. There are plenty of people that I use from a business perspective or in my business life, whether it's a gardener or a plumber or whatever it is, that I found them based off of conversational marketing as opposed to them telling me that they're a plumber, right? And so in our business, everyone tells me it's about relationships, but yet everyone seems to do anything but when it comes to their marketing. Now is the time to do it. Now is the time to be invested in your local community. Now is the time to be throwing what I call interest-based content based off of what people are going through, right? So I mentioned people working at home. I'm mentioning people are basically homeschoolers now, right? Because their kids at home. So what do? So here's an example. So I threw out a piece of content in my mastermind, I think it was yesterday, Saturday or Sunday. And what it was is I saw that the Winchester Mystery House for the first time was doing free online virtual tours of the Winchester Mystery House mansion. Right now, I'm from California. San Jose was like a 45-minute drive for me. I grew up going to the Winchester, loved it. I thought it was cool. There's that eerie, horror film aspect to it, right? Not in a scary way, but like, it's just a cool place, right? Now, there's a lot of people across the country that especially now, are not going to be able to check that out. There's a lot of people locally that aren't going to be able to check that out, right? So what I did is I created some content, some post copy saying, hey, throw this out. Because guess what? People are going to be interested in that. People are at home. People are going to be online. People are going to be on their phones more than they ever have been before, right? So give them content to keep themselves busy and occupied and, for the lack of a better term, distracted from everything else that's happening right now. And I say distracted in a good way because guess what? You could sit there and worry about what's happening right now. You have zero control, right? The only control you have is whether you stay indoors, your social distancing and all that stuff. You have control over that. You have no control over what this virus is going to do. You have no control over what the markets are going to do. You have no control over what the economy is going to do, right? You can only control what you can control, right? I know that's not, like earth-shattering advice. I'm sure you've heard that a million times for a ton of other situations, but this is different, right? Like this is a different time right now. So look at where you can help people be distracted from that, right? Putting out a post or putting this stuff in your newsletter, like, hey, you could do, for those of you who had kids at home, did you know that they could actually do a tour of the Louvre in Paris on their computer, right? And then say like, this is how you do it. And this is how you would, if you have a Chromecast or if you have an Apple TV, this is how you could display that onto a bigger TV, so they could do that. And there's a lot of different things that you could do that to, and think about what what your own family's doing, kids. Board games, this is how you keep kids occupied. This is how you try to set up a little home office for yourself in-house. Because a lot of these people that are working from home have either one, never worked from home in their life, one, their house isn't set up to work from home. So there's content, a ton of people are writing stuff out there content-wise. So find some of that, share it, or summarize it, share the article, do your own. Right now is the best time for newsletters, right? Create a local community newsletter and just saying, hey, I'm doing this newsletter because we're in some strange times right now. So what I'm doing with this newsletter is I'm bringing in like facts from the local news about like, hey, this is what the governor is deciding that we need to do. This is what law enforcement's asking us to do. This is what health officials are asking us to do. Here's things that things you could do with your kids. These are, hikes that you could do. These are, parks that don't have a lot of people. There's a lot of different things that you could do and take time to do that. Now, look, yes, it all takes time and research, but use Google News, use news alerts for your local market, and most of that content's going to come to you every morning in an email for free. right? So do that. This now is the time to focus on your community above anything else. Now, if you do this stuff right, you can throw some like, hey, now's the best time to plan. Anyone that's trying to push selling anything at this point is really, really taking a risk to just being completely irrelevant right now or being tone deaf, right? Because we were already in that situation before, right? Where someone said something and then all of a sudden it's a complete social justice tidal wave on them for saying the wrong thing or whatnot. And that's going to happen anyway. People are going to be offended. But I'll tell you right now, going through 2008, looking at perception, we cannot look, we'll get through this as an industry, but for those that were around in 2008, this is the similarity, is the perception of our industry, real estate and mortgage, took a huge hit, right? We were already still taking a hit up until this happened with fintech and the narrative that people were trying to say that, hey, agents aren't worth their commission, loan officers are paid too much, they don't really offer real value, so use our online lender instead where they don't make commission and that's a dirty word and all that other stuff. We were already under attack. The worst thing we could do is prove them right. And that's what I see a lot with our marketing is we can't prove them right. We need to prove them wrong. You need to be an expert. Now is the time for leaders. Now's the time for advisors. Now's the time for experts, right? And there's great opportunity when it's any crisis, anything, there's always opportunity and a good business opportunity as well. And like I said, there's nothing wrong doing everything I'm talking about to make money on when we come out of that. There's nothing wrong with that because you're doing the right thing. Now, there is something wrong by coming on the internet as making money, by tricking them to do something, by saying rates are at historic lows. Yes, historically they are, but guess what? They were it was sub 3% not too long ago, right? And now we're at 4.25 or higher. Now rates are fluctuating all over the place, right? So I'm not saying to stop doing business, not to purchase, because everyone's going to be different. And that's the thing. Is like everyone tries to like put out marketing like everyone's ready to buy a house, or everyone has their own certain circumstance. So if you switch the messaging to plan and strategy, that is a message that reaches everybody, because whether they're ready to buy, they're ready not to sell or not, right? And I'll tell you a huge opportunity that's moved up, and I don't know how many agents are listening to this or will listen to this, but you have a tremendous opportunity right now due to the iBuyer issue right now. And I'm seeing a lot of Open Door and other. Now they're basically suspending their operations. That's a huge marketing opportunity in my opinion. Is like, guess what? Like, why these people who said like this is the new way of doing stuff aren't able to do business right now and are canceling purchases and putting you in a bad situation. If you were with us, the local expert agents, you wouldn't be having these issues. We'd still be doing business. We'd still be helping you out. We'd still be about it. We didn't suspend anything. Right now we're taking care.
Thing that, the one thing that people can understand too is, consumers are going to relate to people that make them feel comfortable in a time like this. If you're one of those people out there posting stuff about, things that are going bad, or the National Guard's moving in, or you're posting scare tactic situation stuff that makes them uncomfortable, they're gonna probably block you, not follow your content. But if you want to be a leader, now's the time to lead, and it's time to provide uplifting content, provide information that's going to help boost them, and they're going to remember that 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the road that you were somebody that not only help them feel comfortable, but now they're going to remember you for what you actually do, and they may turn to you in the future.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. You're just sowing those seeds. Look, there's going to be no void of that type of content, of scare tactics, of fear mongering, of blame, we're humans. There's going to be no absence of that at all. You're going to see all of that. And anyone that's on social media at all knows what I'm talking about. Like, you're going to see that. Be that other voice, right? There is a void for leadership. There is a void for value and education, and honestly, just using common sense and trying to lift people up and try to be a positive voice. There's a void for that right now. Be that person. And look, I didn't come on here to tell you guys like how to act in regards to like what you feel personally or emotionally with everything that's going on. Everyone has their own circumstance. There's people that know people that maybe that are sick with the coronavirus. There's maybe people that have died from the coronavirus. So that's another thing is I'll tell you right now, yesterday, property manager in Florida is getting roasted across the country because someone screenshotted a text and a post that this guy did. A landlord property manager. I won't name his name or anything like that on here because he's already getting it all over the place. But like, that's how quickly it goes, because a screenshot shared in a group gets picked up, media maybe posts it, talks about it, and that's the ball game, right? I've seen agents and loan officers' careers destroyed within a week because of something stupid they posted on Facebook or whatever that shouldn't be said. So just be careful. It's a slippery slope now more than ever. So whether you think this is serious, an overreaction or not, it does not matter, right? It does not matter, because we're in it now. So it doesn't matter whether you think this is a reaction or whatever. I would be careful, because even if you think it's not a big deal, or even if you think it's like, well, look, the death rate and all that other stuff, and I'm just going off of all the stuff that I see, there's probably someone in your audience that was affected by that or laid off. So it doesn't matter, right? Like, we're in it. Look at the reality of the situation. Don't look at what you think or the opinion, because at the end of the day, the reality of the situation is we're in the thick of it right now. So your messaging needs to meet that, regardless of your personal opinion and your thoughts, right? You're in this as a business, right? And so you need to speak to your audience, and you need to put your business in the best position to succeed when we come out through that. And you do that by doubling down on your content of value, content of what we call the 3 L's, where where you live, what your audience likes and what they love, right? You focus on that. You focus your content on that. There's no wrong that's come out, and it's going to be something that's interesting that people are going to want. People want to break from that now. People want to break from the 24 news cycle, who's to blame and who's that. Be that voice. This is why conversational marketing, relationship marketing, content marketing, this is why this is so important right now. This is why I have such a passion of doing what I do, because this can make all the difference in your business. And I'll tell you right now, I'm getting messages after messages after message from people that are doing that. Now's a great time to plan as opposed to buy, and it's working. They're getting that message. They're getting people calling. They're getting people to email, because it's a different message than what they're seeing, right? And look, everyone's a headline reader, right? We all joke around when the Fed cut the rate to 0, and then you see the text and everyone's like, well, I want that 0% rate, because they don't understand, right? I made a joke about it, and I did a video about it so they understood. It wasn't like, oh, it's a negative thing. It's like, use that to be an advisor. Use that opportunity to educate and provide value. And look, if they're calling you, even if they're wrong, even if the agent was an idiot and told them like, hey, mortgage rates or whatever it happens to be, and I'm not saying all agents did that. I'm just saying, because I know a ton of agents that hate that stuff too, is like, now use those as opportunity. Any conversation in this situation right now is a good conversation to have, right? Even if they think they could get a lower rate somewhere else, it doesn't. Be that person advises. And guess what? I also see the post from those loan officers said, hey, I advised them. They chased rate, realized it was too good to be true, or they screwed up, or they can't close their loan, and so they came back to them, right? If you had gone the other way, it wouldn't happen, right? So there is business opportunity. There is ways of making money. There is ways of doing what we do, because people still need to sell. There's still going to be a necessity for people to sell their house. There's going to be a necessity for people to buy their house, right? But it's a fluid situation. So you got to mix up and change your messaging to match the situation. Definitely. What else you got, Mitch?
Well, like I said this morning in my group, if you claim to be a leader, today and, this time in your life is, a chance to do leadership. You can't be a leader and lead negatively. And, people are going to see that, and they're going to realize that, down the road when we get through all this, who was helping them, through this, and who was, making it harder for them to focus on, daily tasks.
Yeah. And like I said, just be a part of your community, right? And what I originally, like I said in the beginning, what I originally came on here to do was talk about list building and stuff. And that's important now, right? I'll say that's important now more than anything. Email is important now, right? It was important before too, just like direct mail, right? That's something that everyone's at home might want to invest a little bit on direct mail, right? Like, so that's the thing, is like, focus on what people are doing. And because everyone's home, now's a great time to do the $2 a day strategy. Geo-target your local neighborhood and run $1 a day video ads, because they're cheaper now, and you get better results and more reach for a limited amount of money do that, do videos based off, hey, this is what I'm doing today, or this is how I'm spending my, social distancing day. Journal what's happening, because look, consumers need to find that commonality, right? That know you, like you, trust you is a thing in our business for a reason, right? So find ways to create commonality. We're all going through, it's going to be one of those few times ever where a majority of us are going through the exact same situation. Right now, there's different degrees of that, right? But we're all basically in the same boat, right? We're all in the same boat, with what's happening right now. So try to be a voice of positivity. Try to create content, again, focus on like, hey, what's the news locally, right? What supermarkets have special hours for those that have decreased immune systems, or the elderly, right? And where are those stores? What are they at? Focus on that type of content. And it isn't hard to find this out, right? Like if you guys have any, like sign up for the local newsletters from your supermarkets. They'll give you all that information. Not everyone knows how to do this. This is where you can consolidate everything into a community newsletter, right? And I guarantee you, if you double down on doing this type of content, you will build a great awareness and brand, and even have just a great reputation for doing something like this. Why we deal with these times. And like, this isn't, like we're in this for probably the next 60 to 90 days right now, hopefully not as thick. Hopefully within the next 30 days, we start to see some sunlight, start moving around a little bit, start doing different things. But, it's going to take time to recover and get through this. And so now you want to do is fill up that prospect pool with people that are coming to you, wanting advice, wanting education, telling them like, hey, now might be the best time, or now, hey, look, if you like the rate, lock it and let's go, right? If you need to buy, let's buy. Here are the people to help you. Now, you're getting the information from like who's doing e-notary, who's doing e-closings, like all of this stuff. There's a lot of information when people just don't know what to do, and take advantage of what's going on with iBuyers. And this counts as a mortgage professional too. Take that information that is happening and educate agents, right? A lot of like I posted that thing yesterday. There's a ton of agents that had no idea this was going on, right? There's so much opportunity out there, guys. Like, just take advantage of it, do it. And it's all, and the beauty of this is it's all good stuff. It's all positive. It's all education. It's all value-based, right? Doing that, and there's nothing wrong that's ever come from adding value, education, and being positive to your community, your referral partners, and the people that you do business with, right? There's never going to be a negative for that. So why not double down on it?
I have one quick question for you. So how can loan officers and real estate agents, or should they, take advantage of the fact that, people are going to be answering their phones? I mean, people are going to be home, like you said, kind of like with the direct mail, that might be a key, but, should people be reaching out, with a message, by phone, or checking in on, people, as a loan officer, and, saying, reaching out to real estate agents, and, with real estate agents reaching out to, consumers, should people be taking advantage of that?
I think they should, but I think they need to do it in the right way. If you're sitting there like, oh, I'm gonna start dialing like you dialed a month ago or a month and a half ago, don't waste your time, right? Like you're gonna get crapped on quicker than anything, right? And good. Look, when I talk, I'm not saying like every 100% of the time. I'm sure there's people out there like, well, I call right now, everything's fine. Look, far and few between, right? Like that's not going to happen for everybody, because everyone's not good talking on the phone, right? Use this time to reach out to see how people are doing. Conversational marketing. Have conversations. Ask about where they are right now. What's going on? Is there anything you could do to help?
Yeah, have resources available.
Exactly. Like I mentioned, like let's say you have a newsletter, say, hey, guess what? Like, hey, I just want to check in and see how you're doing. I want to let you know I'm putting together this newsletter. Oh, hey, Rob, I remember that you had a local yard cleaning business, and I know, I don't know what you're dealing with there, but it would be great to get your take on what's happening right now. Or let me get the list of restaurants that you could do curbside with, or do delivery with, or without doing DoorDash or anything else. Like, let's focus on the local businesses. This is why a CRM is so important right now. The more you know about each person, the better the call is. Absolutely take advantage of calling. Just do it in a different way. Don't call to sell, call to conversate, right? Call to have a conversation. And I think it's same with direct mail, right? Drop a little thing off. Talk about a newsletter you could do. I'm telling you right now, everyone is starving for information and content, and they're starving for positivity too. So do that. Make the call saying, hey, I'm putting this. If they happen to be like, let's say they're making sanitizer at home, or they have a farm and they're like, they have, meats and stuff available, or whatever it happens to be, include them in your newsletter saying, hey, I'm making this newsletter. I remember you had a business about this or that. Do you want to be a part of it? Would you like to put some information in there so what people know? Like, this is how you bring communities together. Like, it isn't rocket science. It's work. It does. But I'm telling you, once you get it going, like, because here's the cool thing, right? Like, as you come through this, as things go through and you start seeing financial benefit to it, then this is something that you can then make it to a mechanical function and hire someone to help you do this long term, right? As you get busy, as you're dealing with this. But this is the time, right? If you look back in the history of the world, right, and when it comes to business, there's always great business and opportunities out of a crisis, always, right, without a doubt. And this is what you can do now, right? This is how you take advantage of it in a good way by doing the right thing. Like Gary Vee says, doing the right thing is always the right thing. And this is it. Like, yes, there's a financial benefit to it as well, right? I'm a capitalist. We're in this to make money, but there's also ways to do this. And you're not going to make it. There's not going to be any ROI. Like, you're not going to do that and you're going to get, some deals or whatever, even though I have seen this work like that. That's not what it's about. This is about long-term. This is about legacy. Now is the time for the players. Now is the time for the cream to rise to the top. Now is the time for the people that were just crowding up the pipeline, crowding up the real estate space. These are the people. This is the time when they're going to drop out, right? This is not an easy business to be in. This is for the players. This is for the experts. Be one of those, be an advisor, and see what happens.
Yeah, and I would recommend in those newsletters spotlighting local businesses that, are open or are doing things. You see like these local breweries, that are, usually making whiskey, or, distilleries, I guess I should say, that are turning around and, making.
I had a great post. I had a great post that blew up because I did that. There was it was the vodka place. I think it's called like Five Wives or something here in Salt Lake City, and they're doing sanitizer. They gave us a shout out. They did everything on it. That's what I'm saying. It's like, look, there's a ton of examples out there to do it. Be part of your community, right? Lock arms with it. Be in there. Share content. Bring agents along, right? If you're an agent, bring a loan officer. Like, this is the time to think differently and do stuff differently. And I know everyone's not going to agree with me. I know everyone's not comfortable doing this right now. But at the end of the day, you got to decide, like, are you going to do or do not? Right? Like, I'm not trying to channel Yoda here, but those are your options, right? Do it or don't do it. And if you're not going to do it, then stop watching these things, stop watching YouTube, stop going to conferences, stop doing that, right? Like, you're just wasting time. You're wasting everybody's time. You're wasting your own time, right? Do what you need to do, be passionate about something, put yourself into something like this, but do it or don't do it. But this is the time to do it. If you want to do it, you want to change your stars, you want to take advantage of what's happening in a good way, taking advantage in a good way of what's happening right now, and give yourself as much opportunity, because it's going to be rough for a while, right? It's going to be rough. Business is going to be hard, right? Give yourself the best opportunity.
Right. And, on top of that, communities, the industry, the country, I mean, we need leaders to step up and, like you said, provide value, provide content, and, get people, feeling good about, as good as they can about their current situation. So, by doing that, you're going to look good in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, you want to add?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I just, I think that was all I had. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think, if, just there's a lot of people doing a lot of great things right now, being leaders. I shared a post from Rene Rodriguez yesterday. He's putting out, I think he's calling it the Lighthouse series on his page. So Rene Rodriguez, search for that on Facebook. He did one called the Courage Scale. It was phenomenal, right? And I think it was like 10, 15 minutes or something like that. Like, this is stuff that usually you would have to pay to hear. But look, he's trying to help the community as well. And so, like, that's content that's valuable. Like, that helped me. I took a lot of stuff from that, and it worked, right? And here's an example, right? I made something based off of his content that I saw on Facebook is shared. People took my graphic and used it. And look, like people tag me in it. I don't care about the credit of it. It's about that message that I cared about. If I cared about credit, then I would have thrown my watermark in it. If I don't do that, don't worry about it. Like, people don't need to steal it. I don't care. It's not for me. I'm not the one that made it. Renee's the one that made it. It's his quote, right? Like, so that's the thing, is I'm trying to drive awareness to that because I think it can help people. And so I did that, and so many people shared it, created their own posts. I got tagged in Instagram and stuff like that. That's how easy it is to do, right? Like and that would work for you too. Like that's all it takes, is just to be involved, understand what's happening right now, take off your agent, your loan officer hat, right? As like a salesperson, put on your advisor hat, your expert hat, lean into that advice, be those persons. Cause I'll tell you right now, there's a void in our industry for those, right? And if you do that, like sky's the limit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Renee Rodriguez is great. So I definitely recommend anybody that's not following him to, check him out, give him a follow. So
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, hey, giving us some advice and helping us out. So if anybody has more questions for Jason, let him know here in the comments, and he'll get back to you if he can.
Awesome. Hey, Mitch, thanks for putting this on, and thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.